My 9-year-old daughter, Lila, is completely obsessed with knitting. I mean the kind of obsessed where she watches tutorial videos while brushing her teeth and practices new stitches during car rides. And she's good. Like unusually good. Last month, she finished this insane hand-knit backpack she designed completely from scratch. It took her nearly 2 months. She picked the color palette, sketched out a geometric pattern, and even embroidered her initials on the front pocket. The yarn alone cost me £250, which, as a single mom, was a big chunk of my paycheck, but she had a plan. Every spring, our city hosts a youth art showcase with a £1,500 grand prize. Lila wanted to submit her backpack and use the prize money to pay for her school's week-long trip to London. It costs nearly the same amount, and there was no way I could afford it. But Lila doesn't complain, she just gets to work. My older sister, Dana, has a 14-year-old son named Miles. Our kids used to be close. He'd show Lila magic tricks and build couch forts with her. But 2 years ago, Miles' dad died suddenly, and everything changed. Miles stopped listening to anyone, and Dana just never corrected him. He'd shout at her and she'd shrug. Skip school, and she'd cover for him. Anytime someone brought up his behavior, she'd snap. His father died, don't judge him. Like that explained everything forever. Last Tuesday, our mom slipped on her kitchen floor and bruised her hip. She's 74 and lives alone, so Dana and I agreed to come check on her. I brought Lila along. She was excited to show off her backpack. Lila kept it in a sealed plastic bag to protect it. When we got there, Miles and Dana were already sitting in the living room. Mom was on the sofa with an ice pack, and Lila carefully pulled out the backpack to show her. My mom put on her reading glasses and examined every stitch like it was a treasure. Sweetheart, this is gallery work. Lila lit up. Even Dana walked over and ran her fingers over the pattern. You could sell these, she said. Then Miles asked to see it. Lila handed it to him, smiling. He held it up, looked it over, then asked, "Can I have this?" Just like that. Lila laughed, thinking he was joking. When she said no and explained about the competition, Miles's whole expression changed. He flicked the backpack back at her and muttered, "Whatever, it's ugly anyway. I should have left. I should have left." We stayed another hour. Dana made soup, I did some laundry. Lila sat quietly knitting a scarf. Miles scrolled TikTok with his headphones in. When we finally packed up to go home, Lila went to grab her backpack from the dining room table. Then she screamed. I ran in and saw it. Her backpack was literally on fire. Flames climbing up the yarn, the whole bottom half melting into a black, bubbling mess. Miles stood beside it, holding my mom's long kitchen lighter. I grabbed a jug of water and threw it over the flames, but the damage was already done. Months of work gone, completely destroyed. Lila collapsed into sobs, the kind where her whole body shook and she couldn't even breathe. I've never heard her cry like that. Miles just stood there, with the lighter. I asked him what he was thinking. She wouldn't give it to me, so she shouldn't get to have it either. Dana ran in, saw the burnt pile of yarn, and all she said was, "Miles, did you do this?" He pointed at Lila and said, "She was bragging." Dana turned to me and said, "Well, maybe Lila shouldn't have been showing off." I swear something in me snapped clean in half. I told Dana she would reimburse the cost of the yarn and pay Lila for the hours she invested, over 60 hours of work. Dana laughed. Literally laughed. I'm not paying for something a child made. It's not worth anything. I reminded her she'd called it incredible half an hour earlier. She rolled her eyes and said she was just being nice. Mom tried calming us down, but I was finished. I told Dana if she didn't pay for the damage, she'd never hear from me again. Dana said fine, grabbed Miles by the arm, and walked out. No apology, no remorse. Didn't even look at Lila. That was the moment I realized I no longer have a sister. Lila didn't speak the whole drive home. Not a word. She sat curled up in the passenger seat, clutching the edges of that melted, charred heap of yarn, like it was the body of a pet she couldn't bear to let go of. Every few minutes, she'd make this tiny, broken sound, not even a sob, just a wounded exhale, and I wanted to turn the car around, storm back into my mother's house, and shake Dana until something resembling shame appeared in her eyes. But I didn't, because my daughter needed me more than my rage did. When we got home, Lila walked straight to her room. I followed her, slowly, like stepping into the aftermath of a storm. She placed what was left of the backpack on her desk. The melted straps, the blackened yarn fused together like plastic, the scorched initials she embroidered. It looked like the remains of a dream she'd spent months building. Her shoulders tightened. She hugged herself. Then she whispered, "Why would he do that to me?" Her voice cracked on the last word, and it broke something in me. I sat beside her on the bed. "Because he's hurting," I said carefully. "And no one has taught him how to handle it. But that doesn't excuse it. And it doesn't make it your fault." She nodded slowly, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. "I worked so hard," she whispered. "I wanted to win so bad." "You would have," I said. "You still can. This isn't the end." She wiped her eyes but didn't look convinced. And honestly, I didn't know how to make her believe it yet. That night, after she cried herself to sleep, I took the melted backpack to the kitchen table and just stared at it. I ran my fingers over the blackened yarn. Months of dedication, patience, and love destroyed in seconds by a boy who had never been told the word no. I felt fury, and something colder underneath it. Resolve. Dana wasn't going to get away with this. Not this time. Not ever again. The next morning, I emailed the Youth Art Showcase director. I told her everything. Not just the fact that the backpack was destroyed, but how, by whom, and why. She replied within an hour. Bring Lila and what remains of the project in today, 3 p.m. I didn't tell Lila what she said, just that someone wanted to talk to her about the competition. She looked confused, exhausted, and wary, but she came. When we arrived at the art center, the director, a tall woman with silver-streaked hair and bold glasses, welcomed Lila with a softness I hadn't expected. You must be Lila, she said. I've heard a lot about you. Lila looked down at the plastic bag holding the destroyed backpack. Her voice was barely a whisper. It's ruined. Artifacts tell stories, the director said gently. Sometimes the damaged ones speak the loudest. She asked Lila to show her what she had made. Lila hesitated, then unzipped the bag and slowly pulled out the melted remains. The director didn't flinch, didn't gasp, didn't pity. She studied it like a curator studying a painting from a lost era. Then she said, "This is extraordinary work." Even now. Lila blinked at her. "You think so?" "I know so," she said. "And I want you to enter the competition anyway." Lila stared at her like she'd misheard. "But I don't have anything to show," Lila whispered. "It's all gone." "No," the director said softly. "Your piece is gone. The artist isn't." She laid a hand on Lila's shoulder. "We have a special category, the Emerging Artisan Spotlight. It's not about a single item. It's about your skill, your creativity, your craftsmanship. You can submit your sketches, your practice pieces, your mini swatches, photos of your process, even the story of what happened." Lila's eyes widened. "My story?" "Yes," the director said, "because resilience is an art too." Lila didn't speak. She just stood there with her small hands pressed against the melted yarn, her eyes shining in a way I hadn't seen since before everything fell apart. Then she whispered, "Okay, I want to try." And the director smiled. "Good. I want everyone to see what you're capable of." The next 4 days were a whirlwind. Lila photographed her early sketches. She arranged her yarn samples into little collages. She practiced knitting new swatches to showcase the techniques she mastered making the backpack. I helped her print everything, mount it on boards, and write short descriptions. For the final panel, the one about the destroyed backpack, she wrote something on her own, in pencil, in her neat little handwriting. "Some things you make with your hands, some things you make with your heart." I lost one of them, but I still have the other. When I read it, I had to walk into the bathroom and cry silently for a full minute. She was 9. And she understood grace better than most adults I knew. The day of the showcase arrived. The hall was packed, families, teachers, judges, artists, buzzing around in excitement. Lila stood beside her display, nervous but proud, wearing the little knitted headband she'd made last month. People stopped in front of her exhibit and gasped. They asked questions. They complimented her. They praised her swatches and sketches. Some even asked her if she took commissions. And then came the judges. 3 of them. Serious looking. Clipboards. Sharp eyes. But when they reached Lila's section, they didn't look bored or rushed. They looked moved. One judge spent nearly 10 minutes reading her story panel. Another asked her to explain the stitchwork in the melted backpack fragments. The third quietly wiped the corner of her eye. When they left, Lila turned to me and whispered, "Do you think they liked it?" "I think they saw you," I said. "Really saw you." We stayed for the awards ceremony, though Lila insisted she didn't expect anything. "This category doesn't even have a prize," she said. "It's just for recognition." But when the presenter took the stage, she smiled in our direction. "This year," she said, "the judges felt moved to create a special award, a one-time recognition for exceptional perseverance, artistry, and promise." Lila's eyes widened. She clutched my arm. "This award is for a young artist whose work was destroyed before it could be submitted, but whose spirit and talent could not be." My heart stopped. She reminds us all that art is not defined by a single object but by the person who creates it. Please join us in congratulating Lila Morgan. The room erupted. People clapped. Some even stood. Lila didn't move at first. She just stared ahead, stunned, tears filling her eyes. "Go," I whispered. And she ran onto that stage like her heart had wings. The director handed her a certificate, a bouquet, and an envelope. When she opened it backstage, her mouth dropped open. Inside was a check for £1,500. She looked up at me, trembling. "Mom," she whispered, "I can go. I can really go on the trip." I pulled her into the tightest hug I've ever given. "You earned every single bit of this," I said. "All of it." She cried into my shoulder, relieved, joyful, overwhelmed, and for the first time in weeks, the heaviness around her finally lifted. Dana heard about the award. "Not from me. From Facebook," she texted. "So she won anyway. Happy now?" I didn't reply. I blocked her number. Because she was right. I was happy. Not because of the award. Not because of the money. But because my daughter rose from ashes, someone else lit and shone brighter than ever. And because I finally understood, family isn't blood. Family is who claps when your world is burning, and still believes you can rise.